Alright, what's up guys? Today I've got a story time that was sent in to me about this kid who was at a skate park and some Karens started freaking out and ended up hitting one of his friends with a cane and knocking him out. Regardless, I figured it's pretty nuts and I'd share it with you guys, so without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so like I said, somebody ended up sending this in to me, probably because I posted a video about a Karen fight at the skate park not long ago. That being said, this story blows that out of the water. You know, I didn't end up being in a situation where somebody was getting smacked over the head with a cane. That is some pure, Alfred from Batman level stuff. When someone tries to break into the Batcave, he's like, "Do not you dare!" Regardless, this is basically the ultimate showdown, so let's go. It was a standard Sunday afternoon when these dudes pulled up to the skate park. You know, there was only one skate park in their town. It wasn't particularly large. In fact, the population was so small that there was only one skate park, and it wasn't necessarily the best skate park to ever exist. It was basically the bare minimum amount of things that you could put together and call a skate park. But whatever, it was what they had, and they were grateful to have a place to skate, so they were just kind of there messing around. It was two small wooden ramps, a rail that had some rust on it, and was missing a piece off one of the ends, you know? And I don't mean an end cap, I mean it was somebody had cut a little box off the end of the rail. On top of that, there was a gap that it looked like somebody had gotten some concrete to kind of chip up and then chipped away at it themselves to make a gap. So it wasn't the nicest skate park to ever exist, but like I said, skate park nonetheless, which is the place where you're supposed to be skating, you know. If there's any place where you expect nobody to pull up and get mad at you for being on a skateboard, it's the skate park. It's literally kind of in the name. And anyways, they were there and they were making their usual jokes about how this skate park is basically a safety hazard, you know, and they're not even sure if anyone would grind the rail, if it would collapse on itself. And one of their friends said, "I'll grind the rail," and they said he couldn't do it. He went, he did it, and obviously missed, just got off before the part where there was the missing spot. And, you know, everybody laughs a little bit because it was rusty. It didn't look like it was gonna slide, and they're a little bit impressed. And as they're all kind of congratulating him, "Yo, dude, you beat the rusty rail," they hear honking from the parking lot, you know, which is not what they expected. And at first they think that someone's honking to be "Oh, cool trick," but then they realize that they're just blaring on the horn trying to get attention. So they turn and look and they see this old lady, maybe 55, 60 years old, in this 90s minivan in the parking lot that's about 15 feet away. And the car had been there the entire time. It hadn't just pulled up, but obviously it wasn't like they were overly concerned with looking into every car in the parking lot and seeing if anyone was there. But I guess she had been watching the entire time, and for some reason was just blaring on the horn after their friend had grinded this rail. So after they look at her and are kind of "What are you doing?" You know, they can't talk to each other, but kind of putting their arms up "Can we help you?" She steps out of the car and is just immediately enraged. "I knew I smelled trouble when you guys pulled up to this park. Now you're trying to break things. Whenever I see kids on skateboards, I just assume they're up to no good. I know that might be wrong, but I'm usually right, and this time I was. Look at you guys trying to destroy city property." And everybody's really confused because, you know, this might be a reaction you might get, maybe. It's still super extreme if you're skating in front of somebody's business. But everybody's super confused because all they were doing was skating in the skate park, and their friend had grinded a rail in the skate park. And on top of that, it's not like he's destroying the rail. Somebody cut a chunk out of it. It's rusted. What is him grinding on it going to do at this point that nature and somebody else hadn't already done? Like I said, I can understand maybe why a business owner would get angry if you're jumping down the stairs in front of their business, scaring away customers or whatever. If you get hurt on his property, he'd be liable. It makes sense for somebody to come out and be "You guys gotta go now." That would make a little bit more sense. But if you're just sitting at the skate park waiting for skateboarders to pull up so you can yell at them for using the skate park, I feel like you might be in the wrong in this situation because you're kind of going out of your way to put yourself in this situation, you know? Ugh. Ugh, I just absolutely hate cars. Nothing about cars makes me happy. Proceeds to spend 8 hours standing at like a freeway off-ramp, and then you're just really upset that you saw so many cars. Anyways, I guess, my point is they weren't really destroying anything. If anything, this is the spot they're literally supposed to be grinding on rails. The reason they build the skate park is so you're not going around grinding on rails in front of businesses. Anyways, they think that they can defuse the situation by using some calm logic, and if you've ever dealt with some crazy Karen before, that's just not the case. So they try to explain that no, this is a skate park, it's a place that the city has designated that we're supposed to be able to skate. The rail is here so we can grind on it, that's what you do with your skateboard. It's not gonna break it, we didn't cut the hole in it, it's not like we're destroying anything. Which I can't deny is a pretty good explanation. But the only problem is it just goes in one ear and out the other because she just starts screaming, I just watched him grind on the rail. Do you think I got this old being dumb? And everybody kind of doesn't really know what to say to that because it's like, well, you kind of are looking dumb because we're not denying that he grinded the rail, all right? I'm not sitting here trying to wave a wand in front of your head and tell you didn't see him do it. We're just trying to explain that it's okay that he did it to the rail, right? But whatever, everybody's kind of standing there in silence, not really knowing what to say. And one of his friends, the smart aleck of the group, decides to pop up at this point and says, I'm not really sure what any of that has to do with getting old, but I do know that you look old enough to have bad eyes, and if you think we're breaking anything, then it's obvious that your eyes have gone. Which, listen, man, kinda mean, kinda snarky, also kinda funny. I mean, if some lady's honking at you, giving you a bunch of crap for doing nothing wrong, and you tell her, okay, listen, maybe your eyes are gone, because whatever you're saying you saw clearly didn't happen. We're not breaking anything. But whatever, that makes her angry enough to start walking towards him, right? And they realize at that point that she has a cane. And I'm not gonna say that she was faking anything to just carry the cane with her, but it's not like she's leaning on the cane, if you know what I mean. If you've ever seen somebody use a cane to get around, my uncle had a cane for a while, they put some weight on it, it's not like they're super fast to move around, they're using a cane. This lady was basically moving at a perfectly normal speed with the cane, putting absolutely no weight on it. So listen, I'm not gonna sit here and say she had no reason to have a giant wooden cane, alright? It just didn't necessarily seem like she was moving with a person that needed a cane. I feel like people that are just able to run an Olympic marathon don't go about their day with a cane unless they're looking to smack somebody at the skate park with it. But whatever, she's just kind of approaching him at a pretty fast speed, walking at him with the cane. She's not even putting weight on it or putting it on the ground at all. She literally just has it kind of an inch off the ground, carrying it towards him. And she's pissed off about his comment about how, she has bad eyes or whatever. I don't know if she's just really, really against being made fun of for being old and not being able to see. But, the entire time she's walking over to him, she's like, what did you just say to me? What did you just say to me? And he keeps trying to answer it and be like, I'm saying if you think that what we were doing was destroying property, then your eyes have to be shot. That's the only way that somebody would look at that and assume that we were destroying stuff. And on top of that, I think your ears might be shot too, because we keep trying to explain that we're not breaking anything and you won't listen to us. So please just listen to our explanation. We didn't do anything wrong. Once again, funny for sure, but I will say, not really sure if it's worth it. You have a stranger, clearly not very aware of the situation, coming at you with a large wooden stick, and it's pretty obvious that the reason they have the large wooden stick is not because they, need it to be mobile, but because they just kind of want to hit somebody with it. It's probably best to shut up. I understand that this lady's out of place, you're supposed to be skating at the skate park, but clearly this lady doesn't understand the concept of a skate park, right? So your argument to her makes no sense. And she's also weird enough to hate skaters, but stay parked at the skate park waiting for them to pop up, she's a cipher tripwire just waiting to go off. So sure, you are right, her ears are bad, her eyes are bad, she's not listening, correct. But she's also nuts, and usually if someone's nuts and approaching you with a large wooden object, you just keep your mouth shut. Anyways, by the time he finishes the sentence about how her ears must be gone too because she's not listening, he's probably about 2 feet away with her. And at that point, she lifts up the cane, pulls it straight up over her head, in Smash Bros when you get the hammer, do. She gets it into that formation and just brings the cane down on top of this kid's head, like top of the noggin, you know? And everybody is just absolutely stunned because you don't expect to be at the skate park and have somebody smacking your friend with a cane for skateboarding. And he just drops to the ground. And at that point, nobody's quite sure if, like, it's just he's in shock. He just drops so that way she doesn't hit him again. If he's actually knocked out, but he's dropped on the ground. And everybody's just kind of standing around looking at the lady because she's just, like, got this cane in her hand that she smacked him with, and she's not really moving or doing anything. And they're like, did she mean to do that? You know, they're not really sure what her reaction is going to be. But at that point, she turns around and demands that they answer her question. And her question was, I know he's not the one that grinded the rail. Which one of you grinded the rail? Which, you know, I'm saying is pretty ballsy of a question if you are, like, coming out with a cane to smack the people destroying property, but you're not sure which one of them did it. I just know one of you grinded the rail. I'll smack all you on the noggin if I have to. You know, maybe her eyes were not the best. And at that point, everybody is not really down to answer questions anymore. They're like, you just hit our friend. What's wrong with you? You smacked him in the head with a cane. We're at the skate park. That's why we're skateboarding. You need to get out of here. Like, we're going to call the cops. You know, get out of here. We're going to call the cops. And this lady, it was literally like she stepped off of a boat from 1982 because she's like, well, you can't call the cops. There's no way that you have a phone on you. There's no payphone around. I don't know if she knew that cell phones were existent, you know, as if you don't have the ability to just call someone in their pocket, but they keep being like, we're not answering any of your questions. We're not telling you who grinded the rail. You hit our friend with a cane. We're not telling you anything. Like, you need to get out of here. We're calling the police. And her response to that is, you know, after she realizes that they keep saying they're going to call the cops, is, well, I'm not going to leave until I find out who was trying to destroy that rail over there. Because do you want to know why I'm so upset? And they're like, yeah, why are you so upset? We're still mad at you. Like, we're still going to call the cops, but why are you upset? And she goes, my tax dollars pay for that rail. Did you know that? Every time I pay taxes, a little percentage of that goes to the rail. Which, you know, technically she has a point, right? The only problem is, A, they didn't break it, and B, it's not like you single-handedly paid for that rail. Everybody in that city put all their money into one big pot, and then like 0.0001% went to the rail. So if anything, these kids' parents also paid for the rail. You know what I mean? And also, that's why we put it there. So people will grind on it. So that kids grind on the rail here and not in front of the Walmart. That's why it exists. Anyways, she starts walking to the group, and at that point, one of them gets on the phone and calls the police, you know, and they're like, oh, this lady is hitting our friend with a cane, and she almost can't compute that the person managed to find a magic phone device from their pocket and call someone. She doesn't say that, but she's just kind of shocked, and she instantly is like a little less confident about coming at them with the cane and just smacking all of them. And once she kind of realizes that they're actually on the phone with the cops explaining what happened, she decides that it's her chance to skedaddle. So she runs back to her minivan as fast as an angry 55-year-old lady can, which is pretty quickly. Once again, I'm not saying the cane was a weapon. I'm just saying she literally sprinted back to the minivan. Literally sprinted. Anyways, she gets back in the minivan and gets out of there. And obviously, they're not necessarily too keen on, like, chasing after her. But they do try to get a license plate. And they're shocked to see that there's no license plate on the back of this lady's minivan. So she peels out of there. There's not really much they can do. So they go to check on their friend. And at that point, he's sitting up a bit. And he's like, dude, what happened? I remember some lady yelling at me and she was coming at me, and then I just remember waking up. And they're like, dude, she came at you, hit you on the head. Basically just give him a recap of everything that went down, and obviously he's a little bit stunned. He can't really believe it. But they're like, yeah, man, don't worry, the cops are coming, they're gonna take statements, like, don't worry, they'll figure it out. And whether or not he got smacked on the head with a cane, his reaction to them saying that they called the cops was not what they were expecting, because his eyes get all wide immediately, and he just is kind of like, you guys did what? And they're like, yeah, well, we called the cops. We figured you'd want to make a statement. We didn't get a license plate number, but she smacked you with the cane and knocked you out. And he's like, we have to get out of here now, dude. Like, we gotta go. I have something in my backpack that would not be too fantastic for them to find, all right? I understand the lady hit me in the head. She's in the wrong. That's fair enough. I wasn't planning on using anything in my backpack. Obviously, we were going home after this, so, yeah, we gotta go. Because, I don't know, I got hit in the head. I'm not feeling too confident about my ability to keep cool. And obviously, I'm trying to stay monetized here, so I'm not going to go too into depth about it, but we'll just put it this way, all right? In the unfortunate situation where somebody would have pulled up and searched their backpacks, which, you know, I understand technically they need a warrant for and all that stuff, but let's say that someone might have gotten a head injury and says yes to, like, can you look in your backpack? Yes. Okay, you're kind of screwed at that point, right? It would not have been the best situation because there was a massive Ziploc bag full of some stuff in this guy's backpack, and none of these kids can drive, right? So they decide that they've got to get out of there at that point. So they just got to get out of there. So they start looking and they realize that there's these woods next to the park that if they run over the ridge and get to the other side, they'll be on the side of the road and then they can skate down the main road and get back to where they need to be. And they're trying to get out of there before anyone shows up, right? So they start running into these woods. And as they're running into the woods, somebody's like, I think there's a car coming. And so they turn and they look. And sure enough, here comes a car coming in to pull up and check on the situation. And at that point, they all just drop. They're in the woods and they're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And listen, it wasn't a situation where none of them were, like, old enough to drive. Some of them were, like, old enough to drive. They just didn't have a car in that situation, right? So they're all freaking out. They're like, dude, we're gonna get in so much trouble. We're so screwed, da-da-da-da-da. And, you know, they're hiding in the woods. And they get out of the car and they start looking around for a little bit. After a couple minutes, though, they give up. I don't know if they were looking too hard, but they ended up leaving. I don't know why they left. I don't know if they called it in and were like, must have been a prank call or whatever, but they're basically just hiding in the woods on the verge of crapping themselves the entire time they're looking around. And after they leave, they pop up and like all that adrenaline kicks in and they just decide to run over this hill to get back onto the main road. You know, they figure that's probably the best way to make this happen and get out of there as fast as humanly possible. So they run over the hill, get back onto the main road that they needed to be on, and their original plan was to skate back home, right? But their friend who had gotten hit in the head with the cane tries and he goes, guys, listen, I'm gonna be honest, I don't necessarily feel too great about my balancing ability right now, so we gotta walk. And so they like put their skateboards, you know, on the side of their body trying to make it so that way it wouldn't be obvious from the road they were carrying skateboards because they were just paranoid. And they start walking back. And the entire time that they're walking back, they're kind of thinking out loud to each other about like why in the world that lady would have done that. And the one thing that they keep thinking is weird is that the lady didn't have a license plate on. And, you know, obviously they're a little paranoid at that point, but they kept being like, dude, what if she was planning on it? Which, listen, I'm not gonna say is likely, but at the same time, you can't rule it out, man. Like, she pulls up to the skate park waiting for skaters and then, you know, runs out, hits one with a cane, and then peels out of there with no license plate. I don't know why she would do that, but, you know, I don't know why she would do it any other way either. Maybe she's just bored. She's sitting there like, now that I'm retired, you know, I'm gonna go smack some kids with a cane. That's always been on my bucket list. I don't know why anyone would smack anyone with their cane, but, like, why somebody would be waiting at the skate park for people on skateboards to like go smack them with a cane is also nuts. It makes no sense. Anyways, someone's grandma is really out here whiling about smacking people with her cane, giving people CTE like the NFL. So if this sounds like your grandma, if she really hates skateboarding for whatever reason, make sure her cane doesn't have like a clump of hair on it or something, you know. Make sure that she's accounted for on a Sunday afternoon and make sure she's not going about doing Batman justice with the cane. See, Batman's a superhero, and then you kind of think about the realities about someone in a costume running around beating people up, and you're like, ooh, I don't know about that. Anyways, I guess moral of the story, wear a helmet, you know, you never know when some crazy old lady is gonna run about and smack you with a cane, I guess. Other than that, the other moral of the story, maybe don't talk back to people that might be approaching you with a large wooden object and seem a little crazy. It's probably just not worth it, you know? Obviously, she was sitting there looking for a fight at the skate park, but like, I don't know, man. It wasn't worth getting smacked on the head with the cane to make a couple wise jokes, I bet. Anyways, guys, that's actually gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought, and of course, subscribe if you're new and turn on notifications. If you don't know what to comment, go ahead and just comment the word Karen down below. It really helps me hit recommended, and I'd appreciate it. You know, I've been trying to do the longer videos. Other than that, if you really want to be awesome, I went ahead and put the intro song in the description along with a link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, or of course, you could use code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout. G Fuel is the best energy drink for gamers, and like I said, if you use code SCRUBBY at checkout, you get a discount, so literally everybody is a winner, all right? And yeah, the last link down there in the description is going to be a link to my merch, so if you want to head over there and pick up a t-shirt, I'd really appreciate it. Not to be too biased, but it's the coolest merch to ever exist. And yeah, on that note, that'll really do it. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see each and every single one of you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.